All right, you guys, what is going on? My name is Marcus, as always. I'm standing in front of my MR2 today. Hold up, not an update video. That is coming shortly. But before today's episode, I just wanted to quickly do an announcement. We have partnered up with JORD Watches, this awesome wooden watch company, to bring you guys a discount, a contest, some awesome stuff here today. Here is one of the watches right here. It's got Roads Untraveled engraved on the back. You can get that. These watches are absolutely stunning, okay? They're completely made of wood, except for obviously the movement in there. You can see everything moving around here. This one that I got personally, I picked out, it's like kind of a black dark wood. And the attention to detail in these watches is fantastic. When we got them in and I opened these boxes up and just looking around, you can see all the movement and stuff. Really cool. And first off, the packaging, that's the first thing you notice. Engraved with the Roads Untraveled. It's all wood, everything, like that's the whole thing, it's just wood. Everybody watching right now gets $25 off any watch on their store, free worldwide shipping, and one lucky winner, specific to the Roads Untraveled channel, one lucky viewer right now will receive a $180 store credit so you can pick out your own watch. All you have to do is hit up the link below. It's a limited time, so hit that link right now, right when you see the video. So the link to the contest is in the description. Act fast because it is a limited time offer. Hit the contest, and I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. So, the owner of this car, Eddie, has been on the channel before. You guys have seen his absolutely insane, spine-tingling, really, truly scary fast Fiat 500 with like 280 horsepower at the wheels. You can go check out that video in the description or after the video. But basically, he's on to another project. He sold that car and he got himself into a brand new Fiat Spider. This thing's got less than 5,000 kilometers on it. Really cool. It's essentially the same car as the new Mazda Miata, or I guess it's not really new at this point, but the most recent up-to-date version of the Miata, except for the fact it looks totally different. First off, it looks more like a classic roadster. It's got the longer hood, and it has a turbocharged engine from Fiat, from the people over in Italy, which is pretty cool, versus the Miata. So it has a little bit more torque, and look at this. So nice being in a roadster. This is just, generally not a big fan of convertibles, roadsters, especially like 04, 05 Gallardos with a soft top, like, brutal. But when you have the top down, generally they look great. I mean, some cars definitely better than others. Honestly, a lot of people say that they don't like the way this car looks as much as the Miata. Traction control kicking in there. I've got it in sport mode. Anyways, about the looks of the car, a lot of people say they like the Miata better in terms of looks. I think the Miata looks a little bit more aggressive for sure, but in some ways, you know, some angles, I think the Fiat looks better, I'm not gonna lie.
Hi, my name is Eddie, and this is my Fiat 124 Abarth. After the last video was shot, I kind of got to thinking I wasn't really wanting 400 at the front wheels of a little Fiat 500. I kind of want that, but I realized it was smarter to have that kind of power going at the rear wheels. These things use the same engines, it's just flipped 90 degrees, so I figured why not? Let's just put the built engine into a 124 instead. So I brought the 500 into the dealership and just traded it in as it was for the Abarth 124. That was interesting.
So do you think, first off, do you think they're gonna have a hard time unloading your Fiat 500?
They already sold it.
Really?
Yeah, it sold pretty quickly. Yeah, someone bought it and they were driving it for a while and they realized it wasn't very practical, so that ended up on Craigslist. I talked to that guy for a while. He wanted to know some more specs on it, so I gave him the specs. I think it scared him a little bit, so he wanted something more practical, a little less terrifying to drive. I don't know, I took this thing for a test drive and I was sold. I tried the other ones. They have a few other models that are underneath the Abarth, but they don't come with a limited slip and the suspension's a lot softer. I actually drove one of those a few months prior and it wasn't quite what I wanted. It wasn't sporty enough. But then after I test drove this, that was it. It just wasn't fast enough. But I had a solution for that. When I was going to buy the car, I went for the test drive. The salesman's like, yeah, floor it, take a look, see what it feels like. So yeah, floored the car, went through second and third gear. He's like, fast, hey? So look at him like, no, this is slow as balls. He looks at me, he's like, you're kidding, right? I'm like, no, I'm like, this is slow. He's like, what are you driving? I'm like, my 500. He's like, so I took him for a ride in my 500, and yeah, I gave him a holy shit moment. He kind of had to grab the top of the car in third gear, but yeah.
It's not at that fast level. Eddie's Fiat 500, that was fast. That was a very fast car. This is quick. Oh, nice pop in the exhaust there. I gotta ask Eddie, I'm not sure if this has like, you know, either a cat delete or a resonator delete or something. It might just have a resonator delete, to be honest. 5,000, 6,000. Red line's about 6,500 RPM, just before 7 grand. And the great thing is the turbo spools up just immediately. I mean, when I say upgraded turbo, it's still a small turbo, right? By any other, you know, big, if you were to put a turbo on like an inline 6 or a V8 or something, still a very small turbo. But it's great. You get torque all over, but then you still get the high revving, just like progression of horsepower that keeps building until redline. Driving position is great. Shifter feel awesome. Everything's really close to you. The gauge, it looks like a Ferrari tack. Like the red line is a checkered flag. It's just begging to be driven. It really is. And there's details reflecting that everywhere throughout the car, in the body lines. The quad exhaust out the back, that's really awesome. Looks so good, black, and the kind of gunmetal wheels. Eddie does have plans to get rid of the wheels because he says they are too heavy. Fair enough. I mean, if you've got a light car, may as well go lighter. That's pretty much your only option. You got to go one way, and you're definitely going to want to go lighter. So.
Yes, so the built engine that was destined for the 500 is going to go in here instead. So it's going to get the built engine. This one already has an upgraded turbo, but I'm going to move up another few steps to that same GTX 28 Gen 2 that I wanted to put in the 500. That mated to the built bottom end with a big head. It should be good for 400. 400 is not a lot of horsepower, but for a car that only weighs like 2,400 pounds, it's a fair bit, right? It's a slightly bigger turbo. It's an ATP 1752. So they take the exhaust housing, they open it out a bit, and then they mate a 1752 compressor onto it. It also made the car feel the way it should have been in the first place. Like, it's sitting at around 220 right now, and this is how this car should have come from the factory. It's fun. It's not too much that you'll really get yourself in shit, but you know, it makes a decent amount of power and it feels good. Sea to Sky Highway. I've driven the Sea to Sky Highway in this thing 10 times so far, just because I want to. We had one work issue out in Squamish, and usually one of our techs would go out to take care of it. We're like, no, I got this, I'll go to Squamish. Yeah, it's the handling. I absolutely love the handling. Yeah, it drives so well. So much more planted than a 500. The only thing it really needs is a bit more rubber on the backside. Yeah, I want to see how the chassis handles the bigger horsepower first. I'm going to lower it one way or the other beforehand, but I suspect the springs I initially put in it will probably only last 6 months to a year before I decide that it needs something a little bit more robust to match the newer engine. Yeah, the suspension is set up pretty well from the factory. It has Bilsteins from the factory, the same ones that are in the Miata Cup, if I believe correctly. And they're really not bad. They're designed to actually work with a slightly lower spring, so I'm not getting to experience them as they really should be yet.
205s all around, so to be honest, I'm in sport mode right now, right? So it does allow for a little bit of slip. It allows you to have some fun. Understeer, no, not really. Oversteer, like I said, definitely, like, it loves to play. Oh, it's so easy to drive too. It's easy to find the limit, right? Like, it's easy to drive, you know, shifting and everything, but it is definitely easy to find the limit. I don't know, a lot of people don't think much of these cars, myself included. Originally, a lot of people it's just not coming to your mind when you think of, you know, a low-cost roadster, being that Fiat is fairly new here in North America. I mean, that's not a brand like Chevrolet or Ford that everybody in North America has experience with. This is a brand that is relatively new to the market. I mean, what's the reliability going to be like? It's got a pretty meaty sound to it, if that's a thing. Meaty sound. Gonna sound be meaty? I guess so, yeah, that works. All right, I'll use that now. All right. All right. It gets up and it goes. Like I said, not fast. It's the little things, it really is. It's the whole entire experience of just being in the car and what it gives you, not just in straight line speed or in cornering grip, but just the overall package. I mean, this is pretty much the definition of a Sunday drive car. This is what this is.
Yeah, it has a mild dyno tune in it. It was tuned about a week and a half after I bought it. 155 is what it made at the wheels, and that wasn't quite enough for me. So it was tuned on all stock hardware. It got up to about 182. So John at Torque Motorsports, he spent about 2 days trying to eke more power out of it. But the stock hardware, that was kind of the limit. So John said if I want any more power, you know, we're gonna have to move to a bigger turbo. And you know, John is the one that's gonna be putting the engine in, so he knows what's coming. But the next mod that'll go on will probably be an axle back. I'm gonna get an auto recombi axle back for it. It needs a little bit more of a soundtrack. Right now it's pretty muted. Like, it sounds a bit like an Abarth, but a lot quieter, right? It's a little too muted. Blow off valve in it right now sounds a little ridiculous because you're driving around, it's pretty silent and just pss, pss. It's kind of amusing. Man, I hope I can get it up to the power levels of those 500s the Hoonigans are using, like the Rally Edition. Those things have bigger engines, but right. It'd be fun to be able to match up with the Rally Edition version of this car. One of the biggest mistakes people make, and I made it too, is, you know, you go through buying all these different bolt-ons and you're gonna spend, you know, 5-6 grand just getting all the bolt-ons on before you touch the turbo. Don't do it. Just get a slightly bigger turbo. You can get an ATP 1752 turbo. It's gonna cost you about 2 grand. And you will have more power than your car will have if you were to go get a tune, front mount, intake, full exhaust downpipe. Just get the turbo instead. It's a no-brainer. Car is way better with a slightly bigger turbo. The lag's not any different. It just has a lot more top end, and you will be way happier than if you spent all that money on little bolt-ons that add 5-10 horsepower each. That's my advice.
All right, cool. That's great. Thanks, Eddie.
No worries.
Eddie's made to modify. Eddie is definitely made to modify. His Fiat 500, one of the scariest cars I've ever driven. Legitimately, like, so much fun to drive. And you don't even have to be at the limit. Same with this car. You can, you know, once you get to the point where you can feel the weight transfer of the car and feel when the tires are slowly starting to lose grip and kind of move around a little bit, that's what the best part about this car is, honestly. It's just the feeling you get when you know exactly where the car likes to be, right? It's a very happy car, which is hilarious, because they're trying to make these cars, you know, look aggressive. This is a man's car, you know. The Miata is no longer a chick car. It's a man's car, so it's really aggressive. But it wants to play around. This is definitely not a dual personality car. There's a lot of cars nowadays that are trying to be, that's kind of like the trend, you know, that are trying to be super comfortable on a daily commute, have lots of space, and then for that reason they pack on a little bit more pounds. They still try to go for that other personality when you put it in Sport Plus or whatever their mode may be, and then you really have fun, you get the exhaust and everything, and they try to change it, which works to a certain extent, and it feels great until the moment you get into a proper, dedicated sports car, that this car's #1 focus above anything else is to put a smile on your face and just to have fun and be tossed around. That is its one purpose. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this different car review. Give us a like, hit us up with a thumbs up if you want to see more different cars like this. And we will definitely be catching up with Eddie in a few months' time to see where he takes this crazy build. I mean, he's got a lot of plans for this car, and his Fiat 500, if that was any indication of what this is kind of going to be, this is going to be nuts. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, all the good stuff, roadsuntraveled.com. We got snapback hats, yo. They're cool. Check them out. See you guys next time.